Hello, my name is Jim Walters, BICSI U.S. South Central Regional Director. Thank you for joining us for Mastering the Art of Small Business Systems Integration. Our presenters are Tom Butcher and Bill Moten. Todd Boucher is a principal and founder of LEDG, Leading Edge Design Group. He has extensive experience leading the strategy and design development efforts for complex technology and data center projects in the public and private sectors. Since founding LEDG in 2007, Todd has helped shape how organizations leverage computing and technology systems to deliver services to their users with speed, resiliency, and scale. Todd's an RCDD and a member of the BICSI Intelligent Building Standards Committee. Bill Moten is in the Smart Buildings Practical Leader at LEDG. He is a respected authority on smart buildings, Internet of Things, wireless solutions, and a veteran of the communications technology industry. Bill has been developing emerging technology and analytic solutions for 25 years using wireless, wired, and optic networks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Todd Boucher and Bill Moten.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jim, thank you for that kind introduction. Thank you for joining us today. And whether you are with us virtually, whether you are with us in person, we hope that you and your family and your loved ones are safe and healthy. And both Bill and I are really excited for this discussion today. And we're really grateful to BICSI for the opportunity to take part in the fall conference and to share some insight around smart buildings system integration, something that we believe is a really foundational piece to the opportunity to create smart buildings. And we're excited to go deeper into what systems integration means, how it enables and empowers smart buildings. And we really look forward to your challenges, your questions, and your comments. Well, thank you again for being here. Thank you, BICSI, for the opportunity to present. And we're really excited for today's session. We're going to cover a variety of topics related to systems integration as a foundational piece for smart buildings, but they really break down into four key areas that we hope you take away from today. And the first outcome is really built around understanding the strategy relative to systems integration. We want to be tangible about what that means and help you understand, whether working on your own projects, whether helping your clients with projects, how to build strategy that can enable the creation of smart buildings with this foundational layer of systems integration. In doing that, we want to talk about the different technology mix that can create an integrated system environment inside of a real estate asset or inside of a property, and talk about the different type of technologies and how they can be utilized to create this seamless, interoperable environment that we all are striving to create when we think about smart buildings. And the last two outcomes are centered on something we think is really important when we talk about smart buildings, and that is the value of data. And when we have integrated systems, when we do that in a way that is planned thoughtfully, that is executed carefully, that an owner is able to do a couple things that are really important. And the first is to use data to make decisions, to be able to use tools like data analytics and machine learning to do predictive reporting, using data as a powerful tool to help drive decision-making and create data-driven operational processes. And related to that is when we have this data available in a smart building is to use that data to help drive behavior. And a way to do that is showcasing data through visualizations, through storytelling that help drive behavior in a way that's positive, help drive sustainability, help drive efficiency, help drive great occupant experiences. And we're really excited to cover these objectives today, and we're grateful for the chance to have the discussion with you. In our industry, we are talking so much about smart buildings, about connected buildings, about intelligent buildings, and we run the risk sometimes of moving so fast that we don't just pause and make sure that we recognize the importance of a definition for a smart building. And we wanted to root this discussion today in the definition of a smart building. And that's what's on the screen in front of you now. A smart building uses an integrated set of technology systems and infrastructure to optimize building performance and occupant experience. I would draw your attention to highlight a key area of this definition, and that is the term integrated. By definition, a smart building is an integrated building. It is an integrated set of technology, systems, and infrastructure. Too many people make the mistake today of believing that all they have to do is identify, procure, and install individually smart systems in their environment, and that the existence of these smart systems creates a smart building. In my opinion, Bill's opinion, that is the opposite of a smart building. All that creates is fragmentation and complexity. And as complexity increases, the ability to meaningfully use all those technologies decreases. That's why, by definition, a key to creating a smart building is integration, and why we need to be really thoughtful about the step of creating systems integration as a strategy and as a design practice and as a construction practice if we want to achieve the outcome of smart buildings. Today, we're going to talk about integration in the built environment in a number of different ways, but I do think it's important to just understand the history and recognize the history of how this has impacted the built environment. If we step back and think about what our clients are saying, what the industry is saying, one complaint that we hear all the time from clients is their history and experience with, and more importantly, their distaste for the idea of vendor lock-in or proprietary technologies when it comes to building technologies. I'm sure if you are an owner here today, or if you are a service provider or a vendor, having worked with owners, you have had that experience or seen a client experience the process of implementing a technology. And as soon as that technology is implemented, that vendor makes it really difficult to make a change. Makes it difficult for the owner to ever take that technology out, makes it really prohibitively expensive to do so. That's the baseline in our industry right now, and it still drives a lot of design decision-making. It drives a lot of perception about the industry, and I think it impacts our ability to create smart buildings. This distaste for and poor experience with proprietary systems has a dramatic impact on how clients view the potential for smart buildings. If we look at present day and the pace at which technology evolves, we can expect or think that commercial design and construction would have made a meaningful improvement on this state by now. But the reality is that we haven't come that far. If we look at what is mostly turned over in design and construction today, we are still delivering often closed, isolated, disparate, or siloed systems for building technologies in the built environment. That makes up the vast majority of projects that we see being turned over today. And so we're perpetuating some of this frustration for clients, and we need to help precipitate a change if we want to see more smart building adoption in the marketplace. And what's exciting about that is that the momentum exists in the market to really make this change. The momentum exists in the market to support this emerging need for interoperability. And when we listen to clients today, what we hear over and over is the request for, the pleading for the creation of systems that have interoperability. Owners want systems that work together, period. It already is really difficult to manage a facility. And if you look at what is happening with building technologies today, the complexity of our buildings is increasing. The complexity of the technologies and their capabilities inside those buildings, all those things are increasing. But the resources available to support those technologies are decreasing. Average age of a facility manager in the United States is over 50 years old. we all are intimately familiar with in our industry and have experience with the challenge in skilled trades and filling skilled trades positions. So the resources available for an owner on an operations staff to manage this increasing complexity is decreasing, it's falling. We're creating this void between the complexity of our buildings and how we are available and able to operate them. And smart buildings have the really exciting opportunity to shrink that gap, to fill that void. But we can't do it by following the same historical design processes that we've always followed. We have to be really deliberate in how we approach the design process and how we think about systems integration if we want smart buildings to fulfill that promise of empowering clients with technology to run their facilities more efficiently, more sustainably. No one wants to learn how to run 30 different software packages, 30 different pieces of technology for a single building. Interoperability is really the baseline requirement for a modern facility today. We took a minute to define smart buildings. Now let's go one step further and define what systems integration means. We heard how integration is, by definition, a foundational component of a smart building. Systems integration in the built environment brings together technology, systems, and infrastructure such that they seamlessly share information securely and efficiently for ease of use and accessibility. If we go back to what we talked about on some of the previous slides, what owners are looking for today is an experience that is more seamless. Words that we hear all the time from clients are frictionless, ease of use, a connected experience. The challenge is that when people hear those terms, when they think about something like a connected experience, they immediately think to look for technology, a piece of hardware, a piece of software that is user-facing. And while those things are important, if we start by jumping to the selection of technology, we will never break away from this fragmented and siloed type of building architecture that we have today. We won't be able to break that historical distaste that customers have for the challenges in siloed building systems inside their environment. Because what empowers that connected experience, what enables efficient operations or effective use of data, what enables all of those things is systems integration. That is step one if you want to create a smart building. And that's why we were really excited to explore it today. When we work with and speak with clients, there's a very clear difference between what they think and believe they are getting when they spend tens or hundreds of millions of dollars on a new facility versus what they are actually getting. This in front of you is what they believe they are getting in a new facility. An integrated, shared network backbone for all of their building technologies. That all of their systems, HVAC and lighting and energy management and parking and vertical transportation, all of these systems and more connect to the centralized backbone. And that backbone enables this seamless movement of data bidirectionally across all of those technologies. And more importantly, it enables the flow of data up into a central location or a data warehouse, where in that data warehouse, the data can be stored and normalized and then used in a way that is impactful. A customer could use a technology like machine learning or data analytics to do predictive analytics and create data-driven decision-making. Or they could run great visualizations or automated reporting. They have the ability to do all those things because the data is normalized and stored in the central location. This is the vision that they believe they are getting when they build a new building. But this is what they actually are getting. Individually fragmented and siloed building technologies that speak their own languages, they have their own protocols, they're connected to their own servers, their own storage units, or storage instances, their own cloud instances. And if an owner wants to extract any data from this or do any type of meaningful reporting, they have to do a ton of manual effort just to extract the data out. And then the best case they typically get from that are thousands of lines of data on an Excel sheet. This is what owners are dealing with today. And if we just evaluate this idea of thousands of lines of data on an Excel sheet as compared to where we are in our industry with technology and computing, we can recognize that that is a huge gap that smart buildings need to fill. And that the first step in doing that is through systems integration. If you are designing a new facility today, if you are thinking about a renovation or adaptive reuse or even a master planning process, there are really only two approaches that you can take. The first is to do the same thing that we've always done. As we've talked about, and Bill will talk about a little bit more, the way our design process is structured, the way our construction documents are structured, we naturally create this fragmentation in the built environment. And that presents a real challenge. If we want to create smart buildings, if we want to move away from that siloed methodology, we have to be very deliberate. We have to deliberately and explicitly design for interoperability. We have to make systems integration part of the pathway in the foundation of design so that we can enable that open data flow and communication, so that we can enable that more connected experience for occupants. Now, when we talk about this concept, many owners feel unclear or perhaps uncertain about the cost associated with these investments. I think there are first some great data points out there that demonstrate that an investment in smart and connected buildings yield and command more premium and higher level rents across a variety of markets. And that's really important data for our industry. But more than that, I think it's critical that owners understand, and that as a design community, we are communicating that if you invest correctly in the design process around systems integration, you are creating an infrastructure that can scale. And that over the life cycle of your real estate asset, that asset that's intended to last 50, 75 or more years, we can recognize the technology is going to change and turn over every 12 or 18 or 24 months. And if we design a facility correctly, you don't have to overinvest on day one, but you have the security and the knowledge that there is an infrastructure in place that enables seamless integration of future technologies as they are adopted in your facility, in your environment. I think the question we haven't started to answer yet, and that I wanted to start to answer, is if you are an owner, how do you undertake this process? We're talking about the value of systems integration. We're talking about all the historical problems with siloed systems. How do I begin this process of conceiving a smart building, figuring out how to integrate systems? In our work, the mistake we see people making today when they are planning for new facilities, when they are creating master plans, conceptualizing new builds or adaptive reuse or renovations, is that they are not lending enough energy to the idea and the process of digital strategy. When you are in the master planning or programming stages of design, you are already working with a resource like an architect to do visioning work, like thinking about workshops on materials and daylighting and structure and health and wellness and biophilic design. And there are tons of different concepts that impact the type of experience that that building will deliver, that built environment will deliver. However, one thing that I think we all know and can recognize is that it's technology that creates a connection between people and place. And that if we aren't really thoughtful and deliberate about how that technology will make and enable and facilitate that connection early on in the design process, then we won't have the ability to catch up in a way that will make an impact, in a way that will create the outcome of smart building. That's why for modern facilities, for owners that desire smart buildings, the pathway to doing that is by having a digital strategy and incorporating that into your design process. If you're not familiar with digital strategy, there are really three main components to it. And the first is just the why, defining the outcomes that you want to deliver to your different stakeholder groups or personas inside of a facility. In a commercial building, this is obviously occupants and tenants and operations staff and visitors and community. If you are in higher education and you care about students and researchers and faculty, or in healthcare, you care about patients and clinicians. The point is, there are different persona groups for each facility, but no matter what, the key element, regardless of vertical, is that the outcome, we need to identify the outcome those stakeholders should realize as a result of this smart building that you're going to create. That's really the vision. And once you've done that, you can move to the second piece of the digital strategy process, which is identifying the type of digital experience you want those occupants to have when they are in the facility. As I said, it's really technology in today's world that connects people in place, that creates a sense of place inside of a facility. And so we have to be detailed about the type of digital experience we want different stakeholder groups to have inside of a facility. And when we do that, we can identify the type of digital tools or digital touch points that will enable or amplify that experience. Most people jump right to this point where they start trying to pick technologies, but we have to really attach it to the outcomes and the vision for what you want for a smart building. One way to represent that is to create vignettes and to think about how different technology will be experienced for different persona groups. And the third piece of digital strategy is data. I mentioned before in learning outcomes, a key element to a smart building, in our opinion, is meaningful and effective use of data. In any built environment today, there is a vast amount of data that is generated. And before you undertake a design process, as an owner, you have to think about what data will be available. How will I capture that data? Where will I store it? What value does it have to me? And how will I use it? If these items are identified up front, then once you undertake the design process, you won't have the ability to integrate those needs into your specifications and designs for the systems that you are requiring in the built environment. There are great outcomes from digital strategy, and they all center around, I think, the goals that we have for our buildings today. We want them to be efficient. We want them to be operationally efficient. We want them to be able to deliver great people-centered experiences. We want those experiences for occupants and stakeholders to be engaging and immersive. We certainly want them to be sustainable. And when we have integrated and responsive system, we can deliver sustainability and we can deliver resiliency. We can deliver buildings that are built to last and withstand the challenges that we face as a country and as a global climate today on making buildings that are resilient and can endure.
Thanks, Todd. You know, historically, there really wasn't much effort, if any, put into systems integration outside of the vendor's own ecosystem. I mean, you know, a large building systems vendor was selected and all of their base operations systems seamlessly connected because they were from the same company. Data was easily exchanged and both management and controls took place from the same workstation, so not a big deal. And these systems were inherently closed and proprietary to the vendor. It makes sense because, you know, why would they want to open up their solution to work with the competition? And systems outside this base of operations, such as elevators, parking, AV, lighting, access control, and more, they were designed and specified as individual standalone systems and procured, installed, and commissioned in their own silos with their own management and control platform, you know, and hopefully they had their own cybersecurity requirements, programming needs, and separate data and reporting features. Now, this was just the way it was, and for the most part, still is today. Each one of these systems fit into a certain division of construction information. And, this is a standard for organizing specifications and other written information for building projects. And some of these may sound familiar, such as Division 23 for HVAC, and Division 26 for electrical lighting control, Division 27 for communications, and Division 8 for openings like electronic door or hardware. In fact, there are about 36 active divisions and 14 reserved for future expansion, so 50 in all. These divisions are very important and provide a great model for organizing information, but they also contribute to the isolation challenge of these systems. So here's the challenge. There are thousands of new and existing solutions that are smart, connected, with their own management systems that need to be integrated. You got IoT sensors, smart elevators, parking, irrigation, smart irrigation, EV charging, and even smart dumpsters and trash cans. If you can imagine it, it exists. Each of these systems, they have their own separate management and controls. Building owners and operators don't want to work with a bunch of separate, disparate systems, just like Todd said. And in the meantime, they're trying to make sense of all the data and interactions between these systems. They want at least a single system for monitoring the best case to manage and control all the systems from a single platform. So how do we get the building owners and operators what they want? Well, we do it with systems integration. The strategies for systems integration and open communications include utilizing a unified network backbone. And optical fiber really is the best choice for a unified backbone. It provides speed and distance to support all the needs today, and if planned right, for tomorrow as well. We need to develop an owner's integration requirements supplement. And this will be based on the owner's vision for how they want their building to perform for enhancing occupant experience and building operations. And in 2003, Division 25 was introduced, and its focus was on the integrated automation, which defines the interaction between the building systems and the optimization of building operations. And a well-written Division 25 will define how building systems will integrate in support of the owner's integration requirements. Well, does this mean our integration problem was solved with this introduction of the Division 25? It sounds simple, right? We just need to create a Division 25 spec and we're all good. Everything will be integrated. If only that were the case. So why hasn't Division 25 solved the integration challenges that we have today? It's a combination of old habits and feedback. And this is a few tidbits from what we hear all the time, such as the owner doesn't want to pay extra for that, or we don't know anyone who can do that type of integration, or it didn't come up in the programming and workshop, so we didn't mention it. And the last one I have here is we didn't want to complicate the project. These are all things that we hear all the time. But having a Division 25 document is a great step in the right direction. Implementing and executing on it is the key. Since the division of construction documents have historically stood on their own, it is critical that they include integration language so that it is clear what systems will be integrated. Now, this should be more than just a reference to the Division 25 spec. There should be some narrative on what systems will be integrated in the other specifications. Providing systems architecture diagrams is another great thing that should be included in the systems integration, because it'll assist in understanding and implementation and commissioning of the integrated system so you can see how everything is connected. And we can hardly go a day without hearing about a business that's been hacked because of their lack of cybersecurity. And we've also heard that hackers like to target building systems, including IoT sensors, because these have historically had weak protection, if any. It's critical that we select technology and design systems that meets the owner's cybersecurity needs. And in some cases, if the owner doesn't have one, then we need to support them into developing one. So let's take a look at systems integration considerations for a greenfield or new construction projects. Greenfield projects really provide the best opportunity to start planning your smart building way in advance before design and construction starts. You basically have a clean slate to start with. An improved smart buildings implementation model or process will help guide you through selecting the right technology up front, knowing that it'll integrate and share data seamlessly. The first thing we want to do is work with the owner to gain awareness of their smart building vision. And this vision will define the digital experience, establish how they want tenants, scientists, visitors, operations, students, staff, and the community at large to interact with the technology and how that technology will enhance their experience when on site. We typically see focus in two main categories, and it's occupant experience. And think about occupant experience as personalized workspaces. Today, there's a lot of touchless and healthy environments to safely reopen buildings. And obviously, great connectivity inside the building is a key for great occupancy experience. And this is like Wi-Fi and cellular connectivity. On the operations efficiency side, that's the second main category. You see things like smart HVAC management, asset tracking, so you can, especially like in hospital environments where you're trying to find assets like IV pumps or ventilators, they're hard to find, you want to find them quickly. And sustainability solutions like water conservation, power control, smart glass, EV charging. These are all things that we see are typical in a digital planning and visioning. Once we get this complete, then we look and develop an integration plan, including a Division 25 spec that supports the owner's vision. And when that is now complete, we can begin selecting the technology that's required to deliver on that vision for the digital experience. And this includes assets like digital signage for data visualization, wayfinding, stakeholder communication, integrated building systems for mixed use lab and manufacturing spaces, mobile surveillance and security technologies, and so much more. We need to define the infrastructure requirements needed to connect these digital assets and provide a reliable and responsive digital experience for that property now and in the future. And this includes communication backhaul, underground pathways, and cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity. And the final step is to develop a data intelligence strategy, identifying how data can enhance the digital experience, what data can be collected, how it can be analyzed, and how data can be used as a tool to communicate to property stakeholders, tenants, and occupants. And most importantly, the data intelligence strategy establishes a framework for data privacy and security. I'm not sure if you knew this. I recently discovered that there are over 6 million commercial buildings representing over 97 billion square feet in the US. So there's a ton of opportunity for transforming a brownfield or existing buildings into smart buildings. So while greenfield projects may be more cost effective and easier, cleaner to create a smart building, brownfield buildings can also be converted to a smart building. It just takes a little bit more effort. A smart building implementation model is still relevant for brownfield projects because we always start by working with the owner to define that smart building vision, their digital and integration strategy, just like we did for the greenfield buildings. Now, this is where it gets different. Before we begin selecting technology to meet that owner's vision, we need to conduct a thorough review of the technologies and infrastructure already existing in the building and determine what the most economical path forward would be to transform this brownfield project into a smart building. This includes things like reviewing drawings and specifications and submittals of the systems, hopefully they're available, working with the vendors of the existing equipment to de-scope the specifications and understand what the equipment is capable of. Identifying any gaps between the integration expectations and the current design. Like, for example, what connectivity is already available and can it be reused? Understanding what protocols and connectivity are used for sharing the data, and location of digital assets, as well as their performance capabilities like Wi-Fi, access points, coverage, and capacity. They may be using an older version of 802.11 Wi-Fi and it needs to be updated. Or maybe there's too spread apart for coverage of the smart building assets. Because most of these systems were probably designed and installed in silos, they're probably likely to require a translator because they speak a different language and use different protocols. They can't understand or talk to each other. It's very common for many of the projects that it requires custom API or application programming interface, API programming to develop export tables and convert naming schemas so that devices can easily share data between systems. And now that we understand what we have to work with, now we can finalize the technology selection of the new tech, and our integration plan can be finalized so that it supports any mixed protocols and naming schemas and address any connectivity gaps. It's important to understand that most smart building projects don't implement a full suite of smart solutions all at once. Really, most projects simply require a set of solutions that will make the biggest impact in meeting the owner's current requirements. For example, today, many building owners are focused on making their buildings safe and healthy to build trust with the occupants as they come back into the buildings, while others may focus on sustainability. It's easy for an owner's smart building technology wish list to become way too large, and with all the cool digital tech available today, I get it. So to understand the current budget and roadmap will help keep the list in check. The key point here is really that to be mindful of the strategy, focus on what's important now, and keep an eye to the future so that you're ready for it. If you look at the way technology advances, there are thousands of new and emerging technologies coming out every year. And we need to be forward-thinking in our strategies that provide the flexibility to respond to these rapidly evolving solutions, as well as the evolving smart building requirements. One of the best future-proofing measures is to make sure that the infrastructure supports more than is required today, so that you are not capacity constrained when new technology is added in the future. For example, if you're deploying a unified fiber backbone, go ahead and deploy more fiber strands than what is needed for the current requirement. The installation cost is basically the same, and incremental cost of the additional fiber is minimal. And last, for owners with a portfolio of multiple buildings or a campus environment like a university or a medical center, something that has multiple buildings, all with the same owner, the digital strategy should consider not only the current buildings at hand, but also to look at the construction of new facilities, or look at that roadmap so that you're planning for a way to select technology that integrates between the buildings. It's just as important about integration within the same building. And also the creation of a centralized operations center and data warehousing will simplify the facilities operations and data analytics for the integration of the owners with those large property portfolios. So to have a central area for all the buildings, as opposed to having a data warehouse or a major operations center in each building. Let's pull them together. So no matter if your project is a greenfield or a brownfield, systems integration planning is critical. Technology and infrastructure requirements are developed to ensure the systems can work together. You should clearly define the integration plan. For example, do you want data exchange, monitoring, control, some or all of the above? You need to provide clarity on how building technologies will integrate and who is responsible for that integration. Is it IT? Is it OT? Or is it a combination thereof? Is data analytics, machine learning, or artificial intelligence included? You need to need the requirement that all systems have open APIs, is for sure. You need to have open APIs to give you the most flexibility. And ensure that the submittal requirements include language on systems integration and cybersecurity, and it should be throughout all the submittals. Plan for today with an eye to the future, including all upcoming new construction, and especially those with multiple building portfolios. For data and reporting requirements, you need to define that naming schema up front. Make sure you understand so they can talk and share real-time data. And even consider sharing this data, the building data, with the occupants. And when you do that, it's important that the building data is displayed right up front. The occupants must see it the very first opportunity, such as digital signage in the lobby or on the elevator monitors. Consideration of interactive digital signage, so like a touch screen. You've seen those in some of the hotels and more modern buildings. But an interactive digital signage will allow occupants to select building categories and learn more about what is most interesting to them. For example, instead of just seeing the building's total occupancy or energy use, they can touch the screen to dive deeper into the data to see the same type of information, but by floor or by room level or even by their own office. And the most crucial role of a smart building is really to communicate to occupants with clarity and transparency. When we think about the Division 25, it's so important to create a robust specification. It's got to define all the hardware and software integration, the roles and responsibilities of the contractors, as well as the standards necessary to build an integration platform. And remember that Division 25 requires the platform you build to bring in and integrate all the building technologies. Ensure that the other specifications and submittals have these integration requirements in them as well. It's also critical that you use a well-qualified installer that understands how the equipment will be used and integrated. And then you have the commissioning of this integrated system. And this takes on a whole new meaning when we're talking about commissioning. Typically a system would be tested and commissioned based on its standalone or narrowly defined solution parameters. In an integrated system, solutions must be tested and commissioned to work with external systems, including those from other manufacturers. Now, this includes network protocols, naming schemas, the connectivity. It'd be nice if we all use the same connectivity, if we can plan that up front, the data storage, and more. Commissioning needs to cover the end-to-end system functionality, the way owner and end users will use them. The skills needed to deliver on a successful integrated smart building project are so important. The services of a well-qualified owner's integration project manager, or OIPM, or most people think of it as a master systems integrator, also referred to as MSI. An MSI consultant, is highly recommended to help deliver a solid systems integration plan. And this MSI consultant is responsible for defining the requirements that ensure the smart building technology, the systems, and infrastructure are seamlessly sharing information in a secure and efficient way for ease of use and accessibility, just as Todd mentioned earlier in that definition. Ideally, an MSI consultant enters the project at the design phase or earlier and consults every step of the way. They will cover multiple parts of the building across both OT and IT teams. And they should be knowledgeable on multiple integrated systems, manufacturers, designs, and industry best practices. An MSI consultant has a big picture, a master plan view. They're interested in seeing the building succeed, and they'll help plan for the future with a building that's designed to quickly adopt to new technology. And last but not least, they will help build a realistic, forward-thinking roadmap tied to the owner's vision. So the possibilities of a well-planned integrated smart building are just about endless. And it's easy to get overwhelmed with solution options, technology choices, all the things that enable a smart building can get pretty overwhelming. This is why it's so important to first focus on the solutions that meet the immediate needs of the owner. So I'd like to just take a quick look at 3 of what I consider very interesting examples of integrated smart building solutions in action today. You know, as I mentioned earlier, many building owners are focused on making their buildings safe and healthy to build trust with occupants as employees are going back to the office, students back to school, travelers back to hotels. And one of the solutions that help support this goal is a frictionless or touchless access control. And these solutions are really cool. They can utilize your smartphone to gain access to buildings, access to secured rooms, select and purchase your coffee, and even call for an elevator, and you can select your floor on the elevator without having to touch anything beyond your smartphone. Now, if you take this same technology and combine it with an analytics platform that utilizes machine learning, the elevator will know what floor you're going to based on your schedule, and it may have your coffee ready for you without you having to order it. Another common smart building goal is focused on sustainability. The solutions for sustainability range from solar energy, geothermal heating and cooling, to electric metering. But it also includes things like gas, chemical, and water detection sensors that are used to make sure there are no waste happening or dangerous leaks. And just a quick fun fact, you know, several insurance companies will provide a premium discount to building owners if the building has a water leak detection system. Occupant sensors are used to ensure that empty spaces are not being heated or cooled unnecessarily. EV charging stations are a big business right now, and they're being added and integrated into smart parking systems. You know, this not only provides sustainability, but also enhances the tenant experience while providing a potential new revenue source for the owner. The integration of an analytics platform will further provide sustainability improvements by using predictive analytics for predicting energy usage and then comparing it to the actual usage. And this will further enable real-time alerts for deviations. They can be flagged and root causes quickly identified and repaired. And in doing so, this will also extend the life of extend the usable life of expensive assets, which in a way is also a sustainable effort. Now, when we look at the last one here, you know, the overall goal of an integrated system is to make smart building data readily available for making intelligent decisions. And the challenge is getting access to the right data, which requires a well-planned digital strategy, as you've heard throughout the presentation. And if you're going to truly optimize your data, you need to have a data analytics system that can analyze large sets of data and provide a predictive recommendation. It's important to understand that there's a difference between the existence of data and the ability to analyze and take action from that data. So let's take a quick look at one of the most intelligent grocery stores out there today. It's the Amazon Go, or as they are now called, Amazon Fresh markets. For those like myself who find this fascinating, we think of this as a grocery store that uses just a bunch of cameras to track what you put into your cart and automatically charge your Amazon linked credit card when you walk out, all in a contactless manner without having to stop for a cashier to check you out. This is all still true, but there's even more, because now they've announced last year that they are working on and should be launched this year, a new smart grocery cart called the Dash Cart. And it also uses cameras, sensors, and even a scale to automatically detect and log items on a digital display just behind the handle. So as you're putting things in and out of your cart, you can see a tally of what you got in the cart and the pricing. Now, for those of you who use Alexa, you may be happy to know that the cart also integrates with their Alexa shopping list, showing shoppers the items that they saved online. And then in the shopping cart, there's an Alexa show device, which is actually, it's an Alexa with a built-in screen. And it is integrated in the cart, and it'll guide the shopper through the store via wayfinding to the location where their items are, and it'll route you in the most efficient way. So you don't have to go to one end of the store and forget something, you go back to the other side. Pretty cool. And Amazon will be able to combine your Amazon web orders, your Whole Food experience, and your Amazon Fresh purchase data. They put all this information to a centralized data warehouse, and they use this information to customize your shopping experience even more. For example, it may know that you purchased some tuna from the Amazon Fresh store, and may offer you a discount on maybe another brand of tuna next time you're on their website, or vice versa. And really, these new Amazon Fresh stores, they're great examples of smart buildings. They're utilizing a combination of artificial intelligence, computer visioning, occupancy awareness and tracking, wireless infrastructure with data pulled from multiple sensors, all in an effort to ensure that they have your stock and your selection in stock, while also supporting a sustainable environment by ensuring that they have minimum waste. And they're doing all this to provide that enhanced customer experience. So in summary, an integrated smart building will help building owners reduce energy consumption, operate more cost effectively, and develop more meaningful relationships with their occupants. The path to creating smart, healthy, high-performing buildings relies on a rich set of building technologies. And without proper integration, those technologies will fall short of delivering that rich experience that today's occupants are expecting. And the overall goal of an integrated systems in a smart building is to make data readily available for making intelligent decisions that optimize operations, as well as occupant experience that are aligned with the owner's vision. And for owners, architects, designers, and operations professionals, adopting a new mindset towards the selection, design, and implementation of building technologies that prioritize and provides for systems integration is what will unlock the full potential of today's facilities. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for attending. If you have questions for either Bill or I, please feel free to reach out to us directly. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.